Hey everyone, this is Adam here again, and I just want to take a few more minutes than normal of your time just to try and explain some of the initial thinking that we as elders and deacons and trustees and the COVID team have been starting to put together for a bit of a roadmap for us as a church towards being able to meet again in person. Now let me start by saying this is a very rough sketch. There are a whole host of things that could happen that could adjust the time frames or even scupper these plans. But we want to have a roadmap so that together as a church, we can be praying for this. And secondly, so that together as a church, we can be talking about and also planning towards some of these things. Why? Because we've had, many months now of disruption, and we want to walk carefully back into being able to meet again in person safely at the King Centre. So here's the rough sketch that I'd love you to start thinking about and then praying towards and talking with us about. Many of you will have heard the interview that Boris Johnson gave a couple of weeks ago when one of the reporters pressed him on when he thought that most of the restrictions would be taken down. And after some kind of umming and ahhing, he said, hopefully by Easter. Now, like I've said, there are so many reasons why that may get delayed or it may get adjusted. But we as teams have taken that and said, well, let's put that like a pin in the diary that we're shooting for, that hopefully by Easter, which is at the start of April, we can be meeting back at the building with very few restrictions in place. Now, what the details of that looks like, we've got many months still to be planning and working towards that. But that's something that we want to encourage you to be praying about and talking with us about and also planning towards. So that's Easter. Between now and Easter, there is a huge amount that us as a church need to be doing. And so the first date that I want you to be thinking about is that in February, we want to start to be able to open up our live streaming in the main hall for people that want to come and be part of it. Now, it's very likely that the restrictions will mean that you won't be able to sing, even though the worship team are singing on the stage. But we want to be working towards that. So the kind of like the first stage would be February, come and be part of our live streaming experience and help us to develop it, because we're pretty convinced, as we've been praying and talking, that live streaming is not just going to be something for 1 year in our history, but actually it's going to become something increasingly important as we look to support people who may not be able to gather on a Sunday. But more than that, we might be able to start supporting church plants in other places through our live stream. And so we want to build this into the core of who we are. And as a result, we need your help. And so for some of you, it might mean coming on a Sunday as part of those early days and helping us think through how we can make this better. It might be that you can't hear very well. It might be that you couldn't see something very well. We need some people who are willing to see maybe from February through to April as a bit of their serving of the church, of coming and helping us to develop this integration of in-person and live streaming. We're then looking for another date between February and April when we could potentially start to introduce some kids' work. Now, it's really important that you hear what I'm about to say really carefully. We need to hear from our kids' teams. We also need to hear from our parents how you feel about that, because we want to lead safely and carefully into all of this. And so in the new year, we're going to be sending out a survey to all of our parents, and our team leaders are going to be talking with the TOTS, kids and youth teams about how they would feel serving in that context, in that kind of slightly interim, slightly grey stage. And so in the new year, if you're a parent, we would really, really want to encourage you. Please help us by filling in that survey so we can get a good read from you on what this will be like. And then come April, we're praying and longing for the day when we're able to meet in a much more normative way. Please join with us in praying for that. I hope that kind of little roadmap has helped you to understand a few of the steps. If you've got some questions about that, please don't hold on to them. Please talk to one of our deacons. Please talk to one of our trustees. Please talk to the COVID team. Please talk to us as elders so that together we can work out the right way forward for us as a church as we start to navigate back towards something that would feel a bit more normal. However, here's the final thing that I want to leave you with. Friends, this huge disruption that we're walking through is not going to lead back to normality. And what I mean by that is not going to lead back to as things were in February of this year. God has been doing so many wonderful things in us as a church. God has been adding new people into us as a church. God has been uncovering foundations that we've needed to strengthen and still need to strengthen. And so when we arrive at that place of being able to gather in person, we also need to recognize that we are going to be a different church, and we need to be walking into it, not longing after the past, but praying and dreaming about all that God has for us in the future. So will you join us in that? We want to be a church that through these next months, we're sharing our love for Christ with this town. As we start to gather in person, we're sharing our love for Christ with the people around us, that we're still on his mission to make much of Jesus in Great Yarmouth, Lowestoft, and all of the surrounding towns and villages that surround us. So will you join us in that? I hope this video has been helpful, but please, if you do have questions, please be in touch so that we can walk this together. God bless you all.